Welcome, YouTube world, to a tragic story of a young man by the name of Etika. And yes, I know that's not his real name. I actually had no idea who this guy was up until about a week ago when he went missing. And it still really hit me hard, even though, no offense, I never met him. I've never spoken to him. I didn't even know who he was, like I said, up until like barely a week ago, and I had briefly heard his name thrown around a couple of times back when he got banned from YouTube for uploading some not so nice videos. But so he had gone missing, and I'm just going to read through an article here. And if you don't want to hear me ramble on and you know and all that, that's perfectly fine. You can just go to the description box. I'm going to see if I can find his last video that he posted where it appeared to be like a suicide video. Yeah, so sorry, let's just get right into this. So this is who he was. And I will credit, like I said, Kotaku for this article. This is not in my own words, because I wouldn't know how to talk about him because I didn't really know much about him. So today, June 25th, NYPD police have confirmed the death of Desmond Amofah, also known as Etika. He was a well-known gaming YouTuber. After discovering him, he was discovered in the Manhattan East River yesterday evening. Amofah's body, I'll just say Etika in case I mispronounce his name. Etika's body was found 2 days after police recovered his belongings on the Manhattan Bridge. Last week, he had published a video that appeared like a suicide note. And like I said, I'll see if I can find that, and if I don't immediately, I'll put it in the description box after. Etika, 29, was born in Brooklyn, New York. He began creating videos on YouTube back in 2012, and over the course of 7 years, he had amassed a following of over 800,000 dedicated fans across YouTube and Twitch. He referred to them as the Joy-Con Boys, after the Nintendo Switch controllers. Because I think, yeah, he predominantly played Nintendo. Yeah, playing and commenting on Nintendo games for his fans, Etika imbued what he loved with electricity and personality. Etika's charisma, candor, and ingenuity as a content creator launched him into the constellation of internet stardom. Etika began to publicly struggle with mental health last October when he self-destructed his YouTube channel and on Reddit made references to suicidal ideations. In April, police detained Etika after he threatened suicide in his apartment. They told Kotaku, citing his psych history, the incident resulted in Etika's admission into a hospital. And in May, Etika had an altercation with a security guard or police officer that led to another hospital visit. Then last week, Etika published a video which YouTube took down, apparently saying goodbye to his fans. "It was a fun life," he said. "I had a great time. It was great. But for it to be cut so short, it's fucked." Friends and family had been unable to contact Etika since before the video was posted. Reached over the phone today, an NYPD representative offered this comment that at approximately 18 hours yesterday, police responded to a 911 call with a person floating in the water in the vicinity of South Street Seaport in the confines of 1st Precinct. Upon arrival, officers discovered an unresponsive, unidentified male at the location. The NYPD Harbor removed the male to Pier 16, where EMS pronounced him deceased. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death, and the investigation is ongoing. So I think not to speculate, but he was on the bridge. I think it seems pretty clear that he jumped off the bridge. And then it says the National Suicide Prevention Hotline in the U.S. is available 24 hours a day. There's the number. And, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, this stuff happens all the time, right? But because he was, like a celebrity, a lot more people were talking about it. And that's why I was like, okay, well, who is this guy? I keep hearing about him everywhere. YouTubers that I like, or even the ones that I don't like, were talking about him. And when I watched that video, it's kind of like, from what I gathered, he was kind of like a goofy guy. Kind of like me sometimes. I like being silly and making jokes. And then I got to see the serious side of him. And I saw him in that video, and it was like, yeah, this guy's not trolling like he's hurting, And I think it might have hit home a bit more for me because I'm able to relate to how he's felt. I've been there in the past, and I still struggle with a lot of mental illness myself. I've just never really talked about it, not because I don't feel comfortable about it, just because one day goes to 2 days, goes to, a month, a year, and I only recently started working on my YouTube channel after procrastinating for 13 years. And again, I don't want to make this too much about me, but I thought it was important just to highlight, that there's a lot of people that can, suffer from mental illness. So this isn't to like I've heard people on Twitter going, oh, I can kind of relate, I've been there before. There's nothing wrong with that. You're sharing how you feel. You're sharing your personal experiences. You're relating to him. And even if you can't relate to him, that doesn't mean you're trying to spin it to make it your own. I first immediately spoke about him. And then after, sure, I turned it a little bit to be about me, heaven forbid. And I've struggled greatly. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Sorry, I'm a little bit lost for words because it is quite, disturbing. I've lost a few friends to suicide as well, and then I was almost there myself years ago, because I suffer from bipolar and anxiety and all that kind of stuff, and the anxiety was getting out of hand. I was getting I was in the hospital sometimes 8 to 10 times a month, a couple times a week, and I was just getting sick of it. You know what I mean? I just wasn't getting better. I wanted the help. I was trying to get the help. I was getting the medication. I was getting the cognitive therapy, behavior, and all this kind of stuff, but just nothing worked at all. Things have gotten better, so that's good. I'm not on medication anymore. They just didn't work. They were actually making me worse. So I had been following both a psychiatrist and a psychologist, one for just the therapy so that you could talk to them, and then the other one was for the medication because, psychiatrists prescribe medication usually, and they don't do a lot of chit-chat. You don't get the comfort of having a friend to talk to, if you will, which is why I've turned to YouTube. And it always seems like, and I'm not making this a joke, but it's true that it seems like I'm not a big YouTuber, obviously, but a lot of big YouTubers, sometimes that you find out that they have all these mental issues. And it's you hear the expression, there's nothing sadder than the tears of a clown or something like that, because a lot of comedians and funny people, sometimes that's their outlet. I've really found this is my outlet because I have terrible, terrible anxiety and stuff like that. And I still get depression because it's like a domino effect, right? One thing affects the other. You get a lot of anxiety. You get depressed because you're always getting the anxiety, and it drains you. And I get these constant migraine headaches. And, you go to the doctors, you try to get help. You try to follow their whatever, their thing that they want you to do. Sorry, I'm losing the words here. And you take the medication, you follow, them saying you should go see this doctor and be part of a class for cognitive therapy behavior, like I've said. You do that and just nothing works, so you just keep pushing, you keep fighting until you find something that works for you, hopefully. And sadly, in his case, I think he had mentioned briefly in the video, it was about 10 minutes long, so I don't remember every single word off the top of my head, but you can't help someone that doesn't want to help themselves. And for a long time that was my case. I didn't want to be helped. I was popping all kinds of random pills. I was stealing from my friend's medicine cabinet. I wouldn't even read the labels. I would just be like, oh, let's see what this does, and then mix it with alcohol because it amplifies the effect, with the intent of I just wanted it to end me. So that was just the reality of it. And people could say, oh, you're weak and blah, blah, blah. I don't really give a rat's ass what you think. Really, I don't. So all that negativity, bring it to me. All you want. It's not going to affect me. But unfortunately for some people, it does affect them. And Boogie2988, who I absolutely love and admire as a YouTuber, no offense, he's got some mental issues. He's addressed them, he's talked about them, he's said stuff and done stuff that he regrets saying and doing. And he was very suicidal as well. And I think he knew Etika, maybe not personally, but I think they might have chatted. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know too much about his life. But yeah, just know that you're not alone. So if you suffer from this, or anything, any type of mental illness, just anything that, makes you a little bit out there, That's okay. You know, it's perfectly fine to be different. And of course there's going to be a lot of people that make fun of you and tease you or tell you, you know what, just relax. My friend who might watch this, his name is Cameron, he used to tell me, and you know, it's with all due respect, he used to tell me years and years ago when we were like neighbors, oh, you know, don't worry, just calm down, take it easy. But he wasn't saying that to be rude. It just, he didn't know. He didn't understand anxiety. It's hard to understand something when you don't have it. You can research it all you want. You get a better idea for it, of course. But until you know, that's why there's that cheesy expression, until you've walked a mile in my shoes. Okay. He didn't get it. And then someday, he ended up having anxiety. He ended up having his anxiety attack. And then he messaged me, spoke to me about it, and then all of a sudden it all made sense. You can be calm, you could be whatever, not even be thinking about it, and in that moment, out of nowhere, it hits you. It's the same thing with the depression with me, and the bipolar, the mood swings out of nowhere. There's times where I'm very calm and, you know, and then other days I'm like yelling and cursing. Every 2 words is F this, F that. And I'm almost acting like immature, like I'm like a completely different person, because I'm either having like a high or a low. Sometimes it can even happen within like 5 minutes that I can like switch. Sometimes I stay in a mood for a while. One little thing can trigger me. Sometimes it takes a lot more to trigger me. It's really messed up. So depression, suicide, anxiety, whatever it is, this isn't a competition. This does not make him weak. It sadly means that the mental illness defeated him, yes, but that does not make him weak. If anything, there are times after when I was depressed that I just didn't have it in me to end myself. It was like, yeah, no, it's too scary. And then I was trying to think of other ways, because I had some really bad experiences with overdosing on medication and alcohol. It was just like, yeah, forget that. But anyhow, the main point of this video was to bring notification to people that may know him, because I looked it up online. Etika's missing, and then I was on YouTube a couple of days ago. He was trending. Etika missing. He's not even trending now that he's died. So it was kind of like, what? So I was kind of like really caught off guard. Then I had to look it up. I was still finding a bunch of articles on Etika's missing, and then I had to type in like Etika dead, and it was like, oh, NYPD, you know, found his body and all that. And I had already been in the works of thinking about making a little bit of a video about myself as well. And then I was like, ooh, do I really want to talk about myself after? And I was like, screw it. If people don't like it, they don't like it. Fuck them. No offense. Because you can't please everybody. That's the other thing in life that you have to understand. You cannot please everybody. There are going to be people that like you, people that tolerate you, people that love you, and people that loathe you. That's just the way it is. I could be the nicest, most generous person in the entire world and give all 7 billion people on earth $1 million each. There would still be people that wish death upon me. That's the fucking world we live in. Okay? You can't get around it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop worrying about what people think. Oh, now he's talking about himself. No, screw it. I talked about him first. We're still talking about him. And then, yeah, I made it about me a little bit because I was trying to relate a bit. I'm not saying I had the same life as him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I had it worse than him, better than him. It's not a competition. But he struggled with some shit that I was able to relate to. So kind of, like I said, that expression that people use kind of hit home a bit more. I'm not saying I would have been like, oh, who cares if I didn't have these issues. But you know what I mean? When you can relate to something, right? Like I even need to explain that. So that might tell you a little bit more about me too as well. Whatever. Which is fine. It's not like I hide that. I think it's actually in my profile that I suffer from a lot of stuff. But anyhow, I don't really know. Oh wow, it's already been 15 minutes. The main point is this guy. It's so tragic. Anybody who dies, it's tragic. And like I said, I'm like blown away. I'm not surprised, not to be rude. I'm not surprised because there are a lot of people that talk and then they do it. Like they're not kidding. Not everybody talks about suicide, just to get attention. this guy went through with it, and sadly enough, for some people that hated on him, they're now going to be like, oh, I guess he was serious. Because sometimes, you know, it takes that to happen for people to be like, oh, I guess he was serious. But, yeah, like I said, looking at his picture, it's just crazy. He was so young. He's a pretty funny guy. Like I said, I've watched some of his videos. I really liked how he spoke. And you just kind of get that vibe sometimes. There's other people, which I won't name because I don't want to turn this video into this, that have been talking about him, and I can't stand their fucking guts. I think they're a piece of shit. Some of the people that have been talking about him, whether it's in a good way or in a bad way, and just, psh, it's just the vibe you get from some people. It's like, you know what, screw you. But I wish I could have interacted with him. I don't think there's anything, obviously, I could have done. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, if only I could have talked to him. Might have been able to change things. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just a part of my personality, right? I used to work in security. I actually used to work on the psych ward before I started having a lot of problems of my own. And, you know, like I said, I'm not going to get into details, but I've seen some stuff. I don't need to try to look for pity here. But I found some stuff, some very disturbing stuff while I was on duty. And I used to do suicide patient watch. And I'd like to think one of the things I was kind of like half decent at was I was able to get people to open up to me and talk to me about their struggles. And I almost felt like a counselor more than a security guard that was just like watching them. And even the nurses would be like, this guy, this girl, this woman, this man, whatever, have been here for months or weeks or whatever, however long it had been, I don't remember. And you'd be like, they don't really talk to anybody. There I was playing guitar with them, playing cards, chess, pool. It was great. I loved it. And I think it's because, like I said, because, you know, I'm not exactly all there either. There's just, I guess, something about me that might have made them feel comfortable. I'd like to think that was something that I had, because I don't really have a lot of talents otherwise, so I'd like to think that was something I was able to connect with on people, was for them to open up to me without me, like, prying and pressing into them to open up. And some of the stories these people shared with me was like amazing. I was like, oh, wow, and do they know about that? No, I never talk about them. Because a lot of the security guards that were there, you know, they'd be in their uniform and all that, and they'd just be kind of sitting there staring at them and, you know, like treating them like kind of weird, you know, like this is a human being that's struggling. And me, I didn't even wear my security uniform. Took off the jacket, just sat there in plain clothes, because I didn't want to make it look like they were a bad person. Some people are more sensitive to that than others. Me, like I said, I could give two shits what people think of me. I don't care. Oh, look at that bald old Frenchie from Canada. Like, I don't care. I really don't. So, anyhow, very sad. I could go on about it all day, and I really don't want to. I'm already going to be hitting on 20 minutes here. Right away, we got to the point with him. I'm going to have, like I said, this news article, because I kind of find, even though you heard me narrate it, if you want to read it for yourself or do a little bit more research or whatever, I found it kind of summarized it a lot quicker. Some other articles were, I don't know, they didn't really tell me who he was that well. I don't find they did. And I thought this article did, even though I'm not usually particularly a big fan of Kotaku. But that's another story for another day. So, we're going to wrap this up. There's not going to be any funny business here. But if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. And I'll just punch you in the throat. No, I'm just saying. Because this is some pretty serious stuff. And I don't see why you would hate this. Hate the fact that he's gone, but yeah. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally that would be great. I don't always make sad videos like this. I'm usually trying to act a little silly or goofy. Sometimes I do my little Batman things I just started doing a couple weeks ago. Predominantly talk about video games and just stuff in the news. Just anything that's important to me. It could be anything. It could be making fun of Donald Trump or whatever. Just anything that's on my mind that's happened. Sometimes it's someone passing, like when Stan Lee passed, or Luke Perry, or, you know, stuff like that. In this case, this guy here. So yeah, so I shall I shall see you all in the next video. Take care now. Bye.